Hello folks, it's Isabel here. I tried recording this video already and it was utter rubbish, so I'm starting again. I'm zoomed in quite close because today I am looking at my small mini pocket decks. I was watching the lovely Sandra of Spirit of Avalon, and she was sharing her box of mini decks the other day, and I had posted a comment to say, you know, I'd really enjoyed that, and that actually it made me think, should I revisit? And when I look back, I did the hashtag mini decks way back in March of 22. So there was a hashtag at the time where we were sharing our mini decks, and at that time I shared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 10 decks that I had at the time that I classed as small mini pocket. Now I have got a couple more, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my decks again, so there will be a repeat of the ones that were in that video, so and then any others that have come in. So, and how I thought I'd divide it up is I've basically got the decks that are, I've got a pile of decks that are the ones that have bigger versions, so they are mini pocket versions or smaller versions of a deck that exists in a larger size. And then I've got other decks that are intentionally small or just happen to be smaller than standard, and I've included some that just happen to be on the smaller side. Where are we at? Let's start with these three. So as I say, apologies, I've moved the camera in quite tight because I thought, well, mini decks, you want to see them. These three are the beautiful little box sets. I know that Sandra shared a couple of these as well. These are these gorgeous little box from Rockpool. In my last video, I had only the Forest Fae at that time in March 22. So this I got because it was the same illustrator as Mists of Avalon, which is one of my favourite oracles. And I believe this is one Sandra showed as well. So these are these gorgeous little decks with a woodland backing in the moon, and then they have a character and a sort of title and a key phrase. These kind of decks are gorgeous for just, you know, taking away, having in a bag. To be honest, at the moment I have, oh dear, get in line with the camera woman. I have a tray on my desk and I keep these three. So I've had this one for ages. And then I think it was summer 22 maybe. The last couple of years have gone really quickly for me, so it feels like I only got these yesterday. These two came out. So this again is by the same illustrator as Forest Fae. This one's called Avalon Magic. So it's this, in fact, I think, is it the same author? I can't remember. It's the same illustrator anyway. So this one is much more around the sort of Avalon. And in this case, what they've done is the picture, and then actually on the reverse side is the phrase. So you can choose to just use the picture. You can choose to look at the phrase. And I am quite passionate about our British Celtic history. I like anything to do with druids, standing stones, labyrinths, you know, Arthur, all these kind of things. And so, you know, Lady of the Lake. So this was a no-brainer. This really just fitted into my kind of aesthetic. You've got the tour at Glastonbury, you've got another one of the tour, so this really fitted. Unicorn, I mean, who doesn't love a unicorn? Fits into my aesthetic. And at the time I bought Avalon Magic, which goes nicely with Forest Fae. I also spotted this other one, and I undenied for a while, but this one's called Druid Wisdom. So this is by a different person. Basically, this is more kind of photos of places in Scotland, England, Wales. Fits in because it's all that same kind of druid style, but this time it's actual locations. So you've got you know, a lake, or you've got a stone circle. Some of them are landscape, which doesn't always go well with people. This, to me, this was just, this is what I know. These are the places I love to go when, I think that's pool of water, but you know, when when my family, when we like to go for walks, we're not that far from North Wales. We've stayed in the lakes. I love finding, like, we were on holiday last year down south and we went and found a burial mound and a chamber, and I really love kind of, this is the kind of thing that makes me feel peaceful. I mean, I love feeling at one with our countryside. So for me, this is a lovely deck to kind of, when I want to feel grounded in the place I know and love. And yeah, and in some ways the pictures are enough. Look at that tiny little moon. I haven't looked through these for ages, but they do have, like, can you hear the echo of music in Fingal's Cave? Within your heart always has a song to sing. A retreat will do good for the soul. And then I always love as well, this one has like carry aquamarine for calm and clarity, or a seraphonite crystal. So these also have like suggestions for little crystals or meditations that you can do to enhance your working with the card. So I really liked this one as well, and again, this one's really good, as I say, for if I've not been out and about in the countryside for a while and I need to ground. This is really good for helping me just kind of meditate and visualize a place I like. And so yeah, so those are the three little box ones. I don't have any of the others of these because I'm not a fan of things like star seeds and stuff, but these have meaning for me. So those are intentional pocket ones. They come like that. Another one that comes as a pocket deck, this isn't very well known. This is called the Garden Oracle. Again, shared in my last video. It's a little bit bashed because it lives in a bag, in my work bag, in case I want to pull it out. This little oracle is by someone in the UK who used to have a YouTube channel, doesn't anymore. Does a lot of stuff with the 365 Days of Goddess and Bridget's Grove, and her name's Fiona Beth Phillips. And I've shared a book she wrote, a tarot book, which I find really helpful. And basically this is all sort of, again, it's similar to the Druid Wisdom in that it's views and photos of things that are familiar to me, with a simple keyword. Some of them are landscape, some of them are a portrait, but just little things. The back is like a series of the pictures, so it's not, you know, there's no. And initially when I got the deck, I just got it with the keywords, and they work quite well actually, you know. So for example, water element, you could use that as a, right, I'm going to do a spread around water or how I'm feeling. Liminal, bridge to liminal spaces. This one's really important to me. This is an animal ally robin. Robins mean a lot to me. So when my mum passed away, I actually brought that card out because it was helpful. You know, so there's various things. It's a lovely, again, it's a really good grounding one, or a good one for if you want to work with a particular element or a particular sense. Again, I quite like it as a little deck to keep with me, so that I can. It's good in a bag, and you just pull it out when you're in a scenario. When it first came, it had this little book that literally just gave some keywords for each of the sets of cards, and that was really helpful. But then I happened to be following Fiona and was picking up the tarot book, and I actually managed to get this guidebook as well. So this guidebook was separate. I bought this separately, but again, it has information about the cards, a little spread, and what I like is the way Fiona tackles things is she often does it through sort of questions that you can journal around. So for example, you know, ally card, animal allies, a whole list of questions. So rather than being about the card, it talks about things you can think about. So water, watch the water, notice how it moves, think about water. It gives you things to meditate on, things to think about, or just keywords for some of the garden cards. So it's a lovely little book to go with it. So it's, again, it lives in my work rucksack and therefore is a bit battered. It was the Tea Break Tarot School that Fiona used to have. She doesn't do this anymore, I don't think. And I don't think she's even on YouTube anymore, but yeah, it's a lovely little deck. And she did have an Etsy shop, so you may be able to find it on Etsy. It wasn't expensive. So that's the Garden Oracle. So again, that was a deck that was bought as a small deck intentionally. This is supposed to be a short video. I am so bad at this. I am so sorry. Another one that's just a very small, very quick. These are my, I've shared these a few times, my moon cards from Phil and Jackie Lovesey. You'll see a couple more decks from them shortly. These are small altar cards. They're not tiny, they're not pocket, but you know, a lot of altar cards can be really big, or moon cards I've noticed, and I like the fact that these are small. So these live sort of on my desk, and I can pull them out when I want to work with the moon or the season. Okay, a few more decks that what should we do now? Let's do decks that are small decks of bigger decks. Doesn't make sense. So the Garden Oracle again is one I shared in my last video. This one's another one I shared in my last video. I've had this one for ages. This is the Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode. I put it in this random bag because I was wrecking the box it came in. This came to me edged. This is the pocket version of a bigger deck. The full-size deck is actually, I believe, quite big. I just bought this pocket deck at the time. I didn't even realise that there was a bigger one. I got it on eBay. Someone had already edged it. I love this deck. I haven't used it for ages, but I do like pulling it out and looking at it from time to time. And obviously I will work with it again. I have to admit that one of the problems at the moment is I'm in a bit of a rut and a bit of a problem. So anyway, so that's the Next World Tarot. So that does have a larger size, but I really like the size of this one. This was a pouch I bought for something else, and when I realised that this fits in it brilliantly, it doesn't, if I put the book in, it doesn't quite close, which is why the book's separate. So that's the only thing is I could do with finding a way to have the two together. But yeah, so that's the pocket size of the Next World Tarot. So that has a larger size. Another one. So these two, Wild Unknown Pocket and Pocket Animal. I had this one in the last video, so this one again was already in the original video. I bought this one a year later. So this time last year, I think I got this one. I wasn't going to get it, so I have never had the original large size ones of these. So these both came out as full-size decks originally, and then in the last couple of years Kim Kranz has released them, and I believe that there is a Archetypes coming out as a pocket size in the next few months or this year. And this poses an interesting question. So I bought these as pocket decks because I didn't have the large size, and I absolutely love them as pocket decks. I've used this one for year aheads, for big spreads. The brilliant thing about this is that the book has the same information as the large size. I've watched people do comparisons. The cards and the book are the same, so I have no inclination to go out and get the bigger size because there isn't too much detail on these cards, and so I'm not missing a lot by not having the bigger size. So this works brilliantly for me. And except I can't get it back in the tin, in its little tin. The tin's quite hefty, to be honest. It's quite deep because it's quite narrow, and they're quite heavy as tins go. Same with the Animal Spirit. I didn't have this. I ummed and ahed for ages about getting this because I do have another Animal Oracle deck, but I like Kim Kranz's writing and the way she approaches things, and this had some animals in that the other deck didn't, and so I felt like it was a good option for me. And I like the simplicity. It's got a phoenix in, which is everything really, and a mouse. I like the simplicity again. I like the use of line drawings and colours. But again, I don't feel the need to go out and buy the larger version because I think I'm happy enough with the small version. The dilemma I've got is that I really like these pocket decks, and having seen the archetypes, I followed Deanne on Blue Crescent Tarot. I love her series she was doing and is recently hopefully restarting on the archetypes. I have the archetypes in large size, and I really will be tempted to I may make a decision as to, do I keep it in the large size? Do I get the pocket size? I am not inclined. I've learned over time that there are only certain scenarios and reasons for having the pocket and the large. Some people do both. I'm having a dilemma with the Lightseers. I love the Lightseers Tarot. I have the full-size version. Do I want to get it in a tin? The other week I was going somewhere and I wanted a deck with me, and I just was really drawn to that, but I didn't want a full size. And it's that kind of dilemma of, would I make enough use of it as a full size and a pocket deck, or really, like the archetypes, there is no point me having both. it isn't going to serve any purpose for me to have the same with this one. Same with, there is no intention. Whereas with something like the Lightseers, if that's a deck I'm going to use, should I get it? So this is kind of an interesting conversation around mini decks and pocket decks. So I don't have the large size, but they do have a large size. Very cute little tin decks there. Sun and Moon Tarot. This one is on my shall I keep it, shan't I pile, and has been in and out of the box, the Purgatory box, for a while. I put it in, I play with it and take it back out again. I bought this on a whim. I don't have the large version. I've never had the large version. Every time I think about getting rid of it, I have a play with it and read with it and like it again, so it comes back, and I'm still on the fence about it. But to be honest, I'm tempted. Half of me wonders whether I prefer the larger size, because I find that the drawings are so small with this large black border. I'm not a big fan of that, but there's no point having 2 copies of it really, because I'm unsure about it. So that's the Sun and Moon Tarot in a tin. Yeah, bought that on a whim. So yep, so that one has a large size, and this was in the other video as well. This one, so this is my Everyday Witch Mini. This was definitely the other video, because this was basically the second tarot deck I got. Lives in this because it comes in a tuck box. I ordered this to go. I'd had my first deck. I saw this and was getting really excited by tarot at the time. Ordered it, and then it was so small when it came. This is an example of where I bought the big deck afterwards. So I ordered this. I absolutely loved it, but I couldn't tell what was going on in half the cards, and I really wanted to understand more about the decisions. So for example, here with Judgment, why this doesn't look anything like the Judgment on the deck I had been using, and because I was learning, I was like, what on earth? So I actually went out and bought the full size version. I love that Hermit card. Really love that Hermit card. I bought the full size version with the guidebook. So this is a deck where I appreciate the full size. However, the small one is great because I keep it in this little pouch. It lives in my work bag, and so if I'm out and about and I want to just grab a card, but if I want to do a really proper full reading, it's great for a big spread, because you know, if you're doing a kind of big spread and you've not got much space, then you can push it out, you know, when you're traveling and stuff. But at the same time, it is so small that the detail's lost. So that's another one, but that one I do have the larger size because I got that first and then I got the larger size. Okash and Thorn. This wasn't in the last video I did. I got the full size Okash and Thorn, and they are so beautiful, but they're so thick and big. And what I really wanted to do was to take them on holiday with me. We were going away and I just didn't want to get them damaged. So when they said they were doing a small version, I thought, great. But to be honest, it's this thing, isn't it, about duplicate decks. I haven't used this very much. It's so thick, actually, as a small deck. Anyway, blank card. This is how much I've used this deck. I have used it. It's not in order. Hooray! It's really big. So it's not particularly useful. Like, even though it's small, it's actually really hard to manage. But I mean, this is obviously, for those that like it, is a beautiful, beautiful deck. And having it in the small size means that I've got something slightly more manageable if I want to take it away with me. But I'm not sure whether that was the right idea. I love it in the smaller size, but it doesn't necessarily bring anything different to the table than the other one, except for being slightly smaller. So this is an example of where I do have the large and the small, and I'm not sure that actually I need to have both. I'm not sure what if they brought out a mini Smoke, Ash and Embers, I probably wouldn't buy it, because it's just still so cumbersome. But it's a beautiful deck. But okay, so that is the small version of a deck that exists in a larger size. I do have the large deck. That was a large deck before the small deck. this is one that was not on the last one, because this is a Kickstarter that's only come in the last year, and this is the Minnie Mouse Tarot. Now, this was a Kickstarter. This had the option of different sizes on the Kickstarter, and I was like, I'm going to have the small one. I like small decks. I also got the storybook because there was a lot going on. It has this deck box thing that I've not made yet. Here's the thing. It's a chunk. So yes, it is a mini deck. But it is also flipping difficult because it is so thick. And this is where I start to wonder how mini is too mini for decks. Because if you compare it to my Everyday Witch mini, somehow, because of the thickness of the card, they've managed to make it, look at that, I can't even do it, but so this is manageable, but this is so thick that a bit like the Oak Ash and Thorn mini, I struggle to use it. I've not actually worked with this deck yet. It's been sat there and I don't even know if I'm going to. I think for some people this oh no, I'm gonna have to. How cute. See, I've not even looked through it properly. I was really drawn to this deck because I liked the decision on the images. And even now I'm going, look at that. That's an older mouse. That's oh yes. But part of me wonders if it was the wrong decision to get a deck that was quite so small. Cute, and it's really lovely. I just haven't worked with it yet, which is something I need to do. But that has a larger size. I purposely bought the small size. Did I buy too small? It has a gorgeous bag though. Two more. These Phil and Jackie Lovesy decks. Those of you who follow me will know that I really like these decks. I have their collection. These are the White Hare Wisdom and the Arboridium. The White Hare Wisdom I won in a giveaway, and this was in the last one. These decks have larger sizes, but I don't think that they have stock of all of them in. I think some of them are out of print. I love this deck. It's a gorgeous kind of linen-y cardstock. It's really usable. Gorgeous images. If you want, there's which year seasonal images. There's moons. There's all sorts in here. Beautiful little decks. They come in a very easy to use tuck box, but also you can get bags for them. So they do a bag that fits the guidebook, which is bigger than the box, and the tuck box. So I got this one. This is one of the early decks. I do also have, as well as the moon cards, I have their playing cards. I didn't get that out. I didn't get out playing cards in Lenormands because I kind of went, they are standard to be, it is traditional for those to be small. I've just thought of another deck that's on the smaller, okay. But anyway, so these are small versions of large decks. I then, when I did a Kickstarter for one of their new decks, I bought the Arboridium as an add-on. So they were doing a pocket version of the Arboridium. Their guidebooks are huge. In fact, sometimes there's too much writing. But the Arboridium was the next story. This is the journey of Matlock the Hare. Yeah, so they brought these out in a mini. Now, I don't have the large version of these because I got these later. I also have their other Magic Cottage and Secrets of One Wood oracles. Would I get those in a mini? Probably. I would probably happily trade those for a mini version because I really like these small ones. And again, they're very portable, and because they have their bags, but I have the large size, so if I were to get the small size versions, I would probably sell on the large ones. I wouldn't keep both because you don't need both. But these are lovely decks and really nice mini decks at that. So they have larger versions. So that was all the decks that have larger versions. Excuse me, I'm just creating some space. A couple of last decks, because I'm going on forever, that are on the smaller side, but these don't have larger versions, and I think they've just been designed as smaller decks. This is the Trinity Tarot by Ari Weisner. At the time of getting this was an early edition. He was called Matt's. They were called Matt. This is the second edition. I bought this when I got the Kickstarter for Transient Light Tarot. I have barely used this, if I'm honest. I love the squareness of the deck. I tried to edge it. I haven't finished edging it. And because it's so white, I made a mess of some of the cards. So if I were to sell it on, people would get cards with flipping white edges. And it wouldn't be easy to trim. Yeah, look. The stupid marker bled on this cardstock. So yeah, I still have it. It's not an expensive deck. To be honest, at the time, I thought this was really cool. I really liked the idea of the symbols. I then realised that it didn't give me a lot to work with. And in order to understand these cards, you really needed to know what was going on. And actually, if you wanted to work intuitively, that card's fine for that. But a lot of the cards I was beginning to struggle with. So I haven't really used it very much, because whenever I used it, I wasn't actually... I could have just picked a card from a, you know, a pile, and I needed the books, I needed the understanding. So unfortunately, I've not really worked with that one very much. But it is a nice size deck, and if you like a different shape, I keep it nearby in case I might work with it. I bought the Squidcake Marseille Tarot last year. I'm including this one because this is a small deck. It's intentionally a small deck. It doesn't come in a large size. And I love it. It's a bit like the Next World with this. Oh, they've got bent. Okay. A couple of cards got bent. It's okay, because I'm not getting rid of this deck, because I really like it. This is my dipping my toe into Marseille. I want to work with the Marseille a bit more. I really like this deck. I really like the book. I love the colours. And this is portable. It's a small deck. It's in a really nice sturdy box. I took it away with me when I first got it. I'm just going to... and so that's an intentional small deck that doesn't have a larger size, but that's a cutie. And then the hybrid tarot was on the original list. I've had this one for ages. Part of me is wondering whether to pass it on. At the time I got it, I loved it. I was very enthusiastic about it in a review. It was one of my very first Kickstarters. I really loved it. But I've not used it really, and when I do use it, I struggle, because it's one of those where they've associated stories with the cards, so then you have to start to understand. But having said that, it's a lovely little size. It's a really nice cardstock. It has got things like angels, gods, goddesses in. Sorry, I should have done a trigger warning. The tower card does feature a tower being blown up. I think it's a representation of the Twin Towers, which some people find a bit disrespectful. It was not my favourite choice of tower card, to be perfectly honest. Nor is the Fool my favourite choice of Fool card. So it has some good and some bad cards. Yeah. I can't decide whether I want to keep that or not. I'm not convinced if I try to sell it. I don't know. I don't think you can get it though, so, you know, it's so soft and pretty. But that's the hybrid tarot, which is one of my smaller decks as well. There isn't a large size. And then finally, a couple of Oracle that are on the smaller side. Again, these are brought out intentionally as small decks. This was marketed as a pocket version of a bigger deck. We had a big discussion about this on Blue Crescent Tarot, and it turned out that the original deck, the cards were still the same size, so they're like a bridge size. It was the guidebook that shrank. The information in the guidebook is basically the same. There isn't any difference to the original large deck. It's just that it all now comes in a pocket box rather than the enormous box the original one did. So these are bridge cards. I used these quite significantly when I first got it. I haven't used it for a while. I've had other decks I've been using. Yeah. So that's Gillian C. Wilde's Antiquities. Didn't say, did I? Antiquities and Magic. That's a lovely little deck, and I think the pocket version is nice because it comes in the box, but some people found the book too small. So I got this last year. This came as a small deck. This is the Earthbound Oracle, so it's very similar to Antiquities and Magic. A small deck, which I bought a Kelly pouch for, and it fits beautifully in my Kelly pouch. And yeah, so there we go. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, I think I make it. And as I say, in my original video, there were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've acquired 8 more. And I've got my eyes on more. So there we go. Sandra, those are the decks I have in a smaller size. I think that's all of them. Apologies for the length of the video. I hope you found it interesting. If you want to see any of these decks either in action or more, just let me know. If you have any thoughts. If you have any other decks that are small size that you would recommend, or, you know, like my conversation about the light seers, you know, do any of you have decks where you had the bigger version, you've bought the smaller one, you prefer the smaller, or where you've bought the smaller and you then went and got the bigger version, and what the comparison is? I'd be really interested to see actually those comparators, especially for decks I've got, so that I can decide whether to trade them. But in the meantime, I shall leave you in peace. I think I'm going to try and record some more videos today, so I might have a raft coming on, but I wish you all well. Take care under the power of the current coming out of the full moon in Leo, and yeah, keep in touch everybody. Bye.